All right. Welcome to the miracle work today. And the miracle work, it is like a new beginning. This is, of course, a very familiar principle to start your day anew. But today we also going to start through going through the chapters. And it started with chapter 1. So we're doing an introduction to miracles. But I take out I choose specific parts from the chapter 1 that we're going to use today. So one of them is the introduction paragraph that I love to read to you in a moment. So the start over is for me like a real pull to say go through the chapters, because each of the chapters have so much to offer, but so very specific too. So chapter 1 is a totally different character than chapter 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 or 31. So there are 31 chapters, and we'll see how that proceeds. But for today we start with chapter 1, with all the miracle principles that are in there, with all the introduction to, especially in the Urtext, the manuscripts, the introduction to how to look at miracles, how to look at revelation, how to look at the guidance that you're getting, but very much from the start. And that's a great thing always to take another look at, even though you might have read it before or studied it before or whatever. It really does not matter. So this is our little project, so to speak, that we're going through in the next couple of weeks, or I don't know how long, we'll see. But for today we start with chapter 1, and as an introduction to that, I would love to read the first words in the chapter. It is crucial to say first, this introduction to miracles, it is crucial to say first that this is a required course. Like, everyone's going to do it in the end. You will have to go through this way of looking at everything in order to get out of it. So it's crucial to say first that this is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. You can choose whenever you want to elect something. It's like free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take when. And it is just because you are not ready to do what you should elect to do that time exists at all. You will see miracles through your hands, through me. You should begin each day with the prayer, help me to perform whatever miracles you want of me today. So it's crucial to say first that this is a required course. This is where we start with. Like, before you read any further, just realize that you're actually doing something that you're going to do anyway. You will do this anyway. Only the time you take it is voluntary. You can choose how long you take, take part in every step. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. That you have a free will to choose whenever you want to do what doesn't mean that you establish what you're going to do. You know, when you're going to do it, okay, that's what you choose, but you're not choosing what to do, because that's already in the curriculum of awakening, you could say. So it means only that you can elect what you want to take when. It is just because you're not ready to do what you should elect to do that time exists at all. Well, that's a very mystical expression. So it's like, the principle is this: since you're actually delaying what you should do by not doing it immediately as it is given, as it is given through spirit to you, it is for that reason that time exists. because you delay the things that you need to do. You say, I can do that tomorrow. I don't need to do that now. Or I'll wait another year before I do this. Or, like this, just as an example. You will see miracles through your hands, through me. You will see miracles through your hands, through me. So you will see miracles through your hands, through me. Like you're going to be assisted in expressing miracles, even though we don't know yet what a miracle is, because we just start this. This is already given. Like this is a joint venture. It is not something you do by yourself. No, it is happening through me, as Jesus says. So that's why you should begin every day with the prayer. Help me to perform whatever miracles you want of me today. Help me to perform whatever miracles you want of me today. So that's also very essential, because you're not determining when a miracle should be given or not. So it's like that, even that is given to you too. You don't have to decide for yourself. Is this situation a moment in which I'm offering a miracle? No, even that is taken care of. Okay, so here are some miracle principles, just to get the feel of the chapter. The first thing to remember about miracles is that there is no order of difficulty among them. There's no difficulty. Not one thing is harder or bigger than the other. No, they're all the same. Like all miracles are the same. So miracles, in the end, do not really matter. They're quite unimportant. Well, this is the start of A Course in Miracles, and we hear that miracles do not matter. They're quite unimportant. Wow. They occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. Okay, so these three are very important, and we use them today too. First thing to remember about miracles, there's no order of difficulty among them. Not one is harder or bigger than another, they're all the same. Miracles do not matter, they're quite unimportant. They occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. Okay, so this is our start of A Course in Miracles. Can you imagine? Like you hear miracles as such are quite unimportant, like doesn't really matter. There's no order of difficulty in them. And there's a very specific reason why this is said this way. Otherwise, why would it be in the beginning of A Course in Miracles? So I'd like to say a little bit more about that, because yeah, you hardly ever hear that. Why is it that way? There's no order of difficulty. No, one is not harder than the other. They're quite unimportant. And all of this. It's like, why is that? Why is it quite unimportant? And that has everything to do with the place where they're actually being performed. So the place where they actually are being performed is a place where you actually see that it's not what it appeared to be in the first place. So you could say, like, that's why there's also no order of difficulty. Said not one is harder than the others. Like to heal a cancer or a cold is the same idea, or to get yourself out of an idea of separation is the same in any kind of translation into form. The form doesn't matter. So the translation of it, to see it, that you can come out of it, also doesn't matter how that took place. Or see, it has to do with a place that isn't real. You're actually remembering there's no separation. So does it really matter? In the end, it doesn't really matter. For you, it's quite important. When you find yourself in a separated state, it is a lifesaver, you could say. It's a lifesaver. because you're actually going to realize that there is no separation. Well, if that isn't a miracle, what is? But see, that only has an importance if you think you're separate. Otherwise, it's quite unimportant. It's like, duh. No, not important at all. There is only one of us, and it's happening right now. That's all there is. Like if you accomplish the curriculum, so to speak, you would care less about a miracle. So that's really interesting, isn't it? So it's set right from the start in the book that they're quite unimportant. And that is, in a certain sense, like surprising that it is in there. But just to right from the start already make you, whether that's conscious or not, aware, making you aware that this place isn't real. The place where you find yourself is not real. The situations that you get yourself into are, say, a fantasy, have no reality whatsoever. So if you want to wake up out of it, you cannot establish anything as real. So that's why this is mentioned this way. Pretty wild, isn't it? It's so great. I love it. I love it. So it's like there's no word in A Course in Miracles that is by accident in it. So that's so cool too. So now the next part, that's also the very first part, very first words of the introduction is like, your daily prayer should be, show me which miracles to perform today. It's like, that is also an instruction that is very helpful. Why is this important? Because otherwise you might be starting your new career here as a miracle worker in a place that isn't real, trying to offer everyone miracles all the time because you think that you're saving the world by doing so. And that's not necessary. That's an old, say, Christian idea, you could say, to save others. So there is the realization that if I accept this for myself, I'm extending it to everyone. And that's the only place where the miracle is appropriate in that sense. So that's why this is in there too. It's like, ask if the miracle needs to be performed. Because it's like your interpretation of what you see is still lacking vision. Like it is not vision. So in fact you're looking at a mesmeric state and you think you need to save it. So what do you do by saving it is in fact confirming its reality while it has no reality. So this is where you got yourself into by opening the book. That's quite something. Like, wow. I thought I started my career as a miracle worker. It's like saving everyone, but that isn't necessary either. It's like, that's not of my business anyway. It is not of my business. It's not for me. The only thing I have to realize is where I find myself, who I truly am, and that would be sufficient to let this place disappear, in fact. So what is there to save if something disappears when you're actually looking at it in the right way? So what else can you do then? Laugh it away. And if anyone laughs with you, great. If not, so be it. So anyway, so this is lovely stuff. So we're getting ourselves immediately into trouble here. I love that, and trouble in a good sense. Then. So the next part I like to we in fact make quite a step in this chapter, because the miracle principles, I put a lot of emphasis on it in other, say, meetings that we had. I always bring it back into because they're very helpful. But now I'm actually taking it a little bit out of the context in the sense of emphasizing the unimportance of it because of the place where you find yourself. So don't think that you're doing something in that sense. Don't think yet that you're doing something. Sorry. Yeah. So we're taking quite a leap and jumping to the, say, the last part of the chapter. And the instructions there are very specific too, but it can be generalized, so to speak, to what we just read. And that's why I share it with you. So I made some visuals for it too. That seems to be like, wait, it seems to be like a thing that comes back for me to do. I love that. I love that. Every day it's totally exciting to come up with new inspiration that's literally given. So I love it. I love it. So I'll take out specific parts that are coming back to us all through the book. So that's why I use it. So all through the book. Child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Child of God, you were created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Why is that? Do not lose sight of it. But why is that? The good, the beautiful, and the holy. Why is that? Why was I created to create that? And that's interesting to look at. So the good, the beautiful. So there's beauty involved in it, holiness involved in it, and say it's well, it's good, it's great, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's holy. This is where you are chosen, so to speak, or you are created to do that, to create that. And what does that mean? It's like it does not mean what you think it means. So this is only taking place because of what you are. So you were created as the good, the beautiful, and the holy. You're created perfectly, so in the likeness of your Father. Child of God, like child of God. God is your source. Child of God. This is how you were created. You're a child of God. Good, beautiful, and holy. In a way that you cannot imagine. Literally, it's impossible to imagine because it is what you are. So you don't have to imagine it. You are that. You have to recognize it in yourself that you are that. And never forget it. It's being said too. Like, do not lose sight of this. This is, say, you were created this way, to create this way. So how this is an incredible expression of, say, integrated wholeness. Everything is in here. So let this come to you. This is being said in the first chapter of A Course in Miracles. You were created as the good, the beautiful, and the holy. Think of that. Think of yourself as that. And recognize that that is you. The good, the beautiful, and the holy. The good, the beautiful, and the holy. So it's like, it's good to contemplate on that, to ask, like, so what does that mean? The good, the beautiful, and the holy. What is that? How am I supposed to look at that? What is that? It is good, you know, it's like it's complete, whole, and perfect. It is beautiful beyond words and thoughts. It is holy in the likeness of my Father. It's like holy. It is whole. There's no separate part in it whatsoever. It has a beauty that cannot be described, like literally beyond words and thoughts. And it is good. Like, it is fulfilled, it's complete, it's not lacking anything, it's whole and perfect. Just as God created. You know, like in Genesis you see this too. God looked at his creations and saw it was good. So this is good. Whole. So this is like a perfect say, ingredients for a contemplation. You can practice this. Like, what does it mean? Good. Show me what good is. Show me what beautiful is. Show me what holy is. See, this goes beyond the idea of miracle. This goes directly to your beingness. You know, it is not a process that needs to be fulfilled or something. No, this is immediately, this is what you are. Here it is. There's no transition in it. There's no process in it. There's this, and it's you. Okay, so here now we dive into the process. The love of God, which is what you are, for a little while, must be expressed through one body to another. This is because the real vision is still so dim. Everyone can use his body best by enlarging man's perception so he can see the real vision. So let's take a moment for this. The love of God, for a while, must be expressed through one body to another. That's just the way it is. And you know this. It's like looking at your own way of expressing your love for God, of God, sharing with your brother. You want to hold his hand. You want to put your arm around him. You want to cry on his shoulder. You want to kiss. You want to hug. You want to do whatever you do to express that, what you feel. And you still use your body for that. There's nothing wrong with that. Temporarily, it's like a temporal device to do so. Device sounds a bit technical, with all due respect, but it is like, this is the way we express it right now. It doesn't need to be that way, but for now, because the real vision is still so dim, you will do that. So everyone can use his body best by enlarging man's perception so he can see the real vision. You see this in the classes that we do. We continuously going for the expansion of mind, bringing in new ideas. In fact, challenging one another with a patience to hear something, like with discovering something new. Like, continuously we do this. Take another look at the lesson. Take another look at the lesson. Have another moment in which we look at miracles. Starting another introduction to miracles. Going to listen to another tape of Joel and really dissect it. Go and discover something that you haven't heard before. It's like enlarging your perception. You don't want to miss any of it. So this is what we practice. And it's like fitting in the curriculum here. So enlarging man's perception is the way to overcome, in fact, the limitations that you think you need in order to get this or so. So that's just a temporary process. Like if I look at myself, the fact that I'm actually doing everything online now, almost everything. Like, okay, we met in Soarch. In the last 4 years, I hardly have met any person in person. Like only this way. It's like, is there a body involved? Well, there's this talking head. There's a talking head. There are visuals. There's sound. There's music. There's spirit, of course. But that seems to become more and more important. Spirit, like we meet in light. Does it matter what I say? Yeah, it does matter too, because we're enlarging man's perception, and until it disappears right with the first moment that we meet each other. We disappear into light instead of trying to explain or trying to discover something new. You immediately go to your source and find the beauty, the good, and say the holy there. Staying in that, just residing there for a moment. And this is how we can meet. You know, this happens more and more too. Like, so it is not as in the world that you discover your capabilities to do things and you keep repeating that. No, there's a certain development here that is not of this world at all. So you can trust that. Yeah, you feel what you need. You know, it's going to be given you what you need in order to expand your consciousness. That's always perfect. But see, the thing is, and that's what you discover now probably too, is like you hear this in a different way all the time. Like it is going so quickly, and that's a real wrap up of say your holding on to existence, to human conditioning. Like it's a real speed up, I can tell you that. Speaking from my own experience, like I'm able to do this now. Well, if you knew me like even 15 years ago, I would be the one holding hands and hugging and all that all the time. And now that seems to be not gone, but it's more like, well, that totally shifted in an amazing way. And not that that's good or bad or anything. No, it has to do with where I find myself and allowing the change to occur by not holding on to the old ways that I needed temporarily because of, say, a vision that was still dim, as it is being expressed here. Like the vision was still dim. So when vision comes really into my awareness continuously, I see through the mesmeric, say, surrounding where I find myself. I don't let myself be fooled by the hologram, by all the reflections I get. Like that is not determining anymore where I go to or where I come from. Not at all. It's like, so that becomes more, that goes more and more into the background, and that's pretty wild. That's so beautiful. So allowing these changes is perfectly all right. Like it is a natural process of you going through this, because like we said in the beginning, miracles are in fact pretty unimportant because this place is not real. So you developing your consciousness as a spiritual being, developing your consciousness to come back into your original authentic state as an whole and perfect created Son of God, that's all part of that. You know, that's all part of that. That's all inclusive. So that goes so quick. I can't believe it if I look at it. It's like, of course, it's in fact one moment I realize I'm not that. And there's the moment, this is what I am. So that comes together and in fact like merge into one another. That what I'm not dissolves into what I am. And that is the action that is taking place. In fact, it is just like this. That's how quick that goes. I have a realization, oh, this is not it. And I'm gone, literally. I'm actually gone into a whole consciousness instead of a separated one. That's what I call goneness then. So let's repeat it one more time. The love of God for a little while must be expressed through the body to another. That is because the real vision is still so dim. Everyone can use his body best by enlarging man's perception, so he can see the real vision. Okay. This vision, and here we go, like this vision is invisible to the physical eye. You know this. The ultimate purpose of the body, look at this, the ultimate purpose of the body is to render itself unnecessary. Learning to do this is the only real reason for its creation. The body was only invented, so to speak, to render itself unnecessary, to temporarily see that you don't need it, that there's no need for you to identify with it or anything. No, you start to see that it's unnecessary. Like vision has nothing to do with the physical eye. So you don't need your eyes to see that. You don't need a three-dimensional world to literally come into an experience of your wholeness. You could say, like, to discover your Christhood, you don't need your body for that. So recognizing, having no ideas, this is what it says in the Course too. It's like Jesus recognized, it's like he let go of every idea of the body, and literally the body dissolved, it disappeared. So am I losing something by doing that? Am I losing my three-dimensional world by doing that? Is there something lost by doing so? See, these are all questions that are, say, circling around in your mind and cause maybe fear, or maybe like a kind of an curiosity too at the same time. Like, I would love to see that, but I'm not sure if I want to lose this. So here's my progress. Am I proceeding? Am I making progress if I hold on to an idea that I'm losing something by actually allowing vision to come to me? These are really the obstacles, in fact, why we hobble over, where you see that the release of fear is being undone. You know, it's like so you might think that you lose something by losing your body, by thinking that you don't need that. And this is not a very popular thing to talk about, because it's like, it's immediately so embedded into a three-dimensional world that you value, otherwise you wouldn't be seeing it. Like, you cannot fool yourself at the same time either. You're valuing a three-dimensional world because you're actually, otherwise you wouldn't be seeing it. Like, you see it, you perceive it. That's the reason for that is because you value it. Otherwise it would disappear. And you see the shifts in that. So it's not like you hold on to everything. No, you see the shifts in there. Like, some things show up in your perception and other things disappear in your perception. So that goes on and on. It's a process of, okay, here this is important. I need a new car. I need to know this and new that. Suddenly that seems to be very important in your consciousness. And once that is done, it disappears again. It's not important anymore. It's still there, but you don't pay attention to it. So this goes on and on and on. Well, coming back then to vision, it's like, why would you not see everything for what it is? Why don't you want to accept the idea that the good, the beautiful and the holy is what you are creating and are created as at the same time? Like, why would you not want to be in that flow and see that come to complete expression altogether? See, then the things, and you'll see this in the next chapters too, then things come up as, well, you actually don't know the difference between joy and pain. You still think that some things will bring joy while they actually bring you pain. Or you still think that you want to, say, have something from the three-dimensional plane in order to have a feeling of completion or a feeling of safety and comfort. That's why it is there. And you hold on to that, or you stay with that until that is done, and then it dissolves. Now we go over to the latter part, say, of the chapter, which is miracles and revelations. So I don't know if you recognize the idea of revelation, but here it is. It's like the revelation is literally unspeakable, because it is an experience of unspeakable love. And this is so great. I'm so happy that it is, say, put in the Course in Miracles just like this. Like, if you have had an experience of revelation, you have experienced unspeakable love. Like, there's no way of expressing how that was, how that is. So it is a direct communication with your Creator, just feeling presence in a way that you never experienced before, or at least there's such a deep recognition of what is given as love from your Creator to you specifically, that it is like you're ready to give up anything in that sense, or you're ready to let go of everything, but this you would never ever want to lose again. So revelation, you're being made revelation ready in this Course in Miracles. So it's like, that's going to happen, don't worry. If it didn't happen, it will happen. So the miracle exercises that we do, the chapters that we go through, is in fact to get you revelation ready. It starts with peace of mind. So that's our first goal in the Course in Miracles. Like it's being said, like that's the first goal, to experience peace and to stay with your peace and to not let that be disturbed by anything anymore. Like recognizing that peace is in you. From that, say, something is given, and that's moments of revelation in which you literally dive so deep into this love for God experience that you melt altogether. I have no other word for it. How would you want to express unspeakable love? So this is really good to know. So in the Course in Miracles, in the first chapter, there's a whole chapter about miracles and revelation. And it's great. So we're going to take another look at that, maybe on Friday or something, that because it's so great to see where this leads, where this is coming from. Okay, so now in the relationship with each other, with Jesus, with God, we have to look at certain attitudes of yourself. Attitude in the sense of, how am I supposed to look at this? Like, how am I supposed to respond to this, or even see in the first place? So the word awe, to be in awe, should be reserved only for revelations to which it is perfectly and correctly applicable. Like if you experience the unspeakable love that we were just talking about, the word awe is appropriate. Like you feel awe. Like suddenly you feel your place, your rightful place in the universe, and also your place as a child of God. So awe is totally appropriate. It is not appropriate, so it's not appropriately applied to miracles, because a state of true awe is worshipful. It implies that one of a lesser order stands before the greater one, and this is only the case when a soul stands before his creator. You know, it's like, oh yeah, in my revelation, it's totally appropriate. In, say, a relationship with my brother, or with Jesus, or with Joel, or with whoever that you could see as a saint of a, or a seer or a saint, it is not appropriate to be in awe of this one, because you're equal to it. Like, there's a difference between God and you, but there's no difference between your brother, however the form of the brother, however the holiness of the brother. It's like we recognize our equality in each other by not being in awe of each other, but literally seeing each other as companions in the sense of equality, like the same. So here's one more. Souls are perfect creations and should be struck with awe in the presence of the Creator of perfection. Right? Souls are perfect creations and should be struck with awe in the presence of the Creator of perfection. Obviously. The miracle, on the other hand, is a sign of love among equals. It's like you recognize together that you're a child of God. You recognize together in the love for each other. You recognize your equality with one another in relationship with your Creator, recognizing that you come from the same Creator. The miracle, on the other hand, is a sign of love among equals. Equals cannot be in awe of each other, because awe always implies inequality. So awe is not properly experienced, even to me. It's like, don't be in awe of Jesus. Don't be in awe of the Christ. No, if you do that, you place yourself, say, under the Christ, which is not a recognition of the Christ in you. So it's like you missed the whole deal, so to speak. You missed the whole, say, equality that is really there. So you will never be able to recognize yourself as the Christ if you are in awe of the Christ. So that's not necessary. It does not work that way. You cannot be in awe. And this is literally stressed here, to emphasized here. So it's real important to see it like this. So this is a beautiful expression. Souls are perfect creations and should be struck with awe in the presence of the Creator of perfection. Yeah. So the word awe should be reserved only for revelations. So we're talking about the unspeakable love that you experience in relationship with your Father. Then it's totally appropriate. It is not appropriately applied to miracles because a state of true awe is worshipful. It implies that one of a lesser order stands before the greater one. And this is the case only when a soul stands before his Creator. Okay, that's clear. All right, so that was in fact the introduction to the first chapter. So I love to continue, say on Friday, the next meeting, with miracles and revelations, because that's a real, say, deal in itself. You have to have a lot of clarity about that too, how that works. And so to practice this miracle, practice miracles, as we said in the beginning, it's like, show me which miracles to perform today, becomes part of your daily practice. It's like every day that becomes, say, appropriate to use, because there's not a day in which your giving of that is not is like absent or something. No, it's continually happening. And what I mean with that is this: it's like it puts you right in the right sphere, so to speak. You start to recognize where you actually abide. You start to recognize that you're created, that you come from wholeness, and in that you say recognize it here, and that takes here out of the context. Let me say it like this: it's like you start to see that your perception is not limiting you in any way anymore, but you start to see it for what it is. And that can be a relationship, that can be someone you could call first a stranger. No, you start to see him in his right light, so to speak. You start to encounter everyone in the right way by realizing where you are and who you are. I think that's about the clearest I can express it right now. It's like that's so it's your daily practice. But then it's not you doing all this. No, it's you. It's going through you. So you need to have guidance in what to do in that or not. It's really important. So you don't need to do it your way in this sense. You don't need to do it your way. You will be told what to do exactly, who to meet, what to do, what to say, where to go, and all this. Like there's a perfect guidance system for you available. But if you already made up your mind and think I need to heal this or I need to give this miracle, then you miss it. And you're basically establishing yourself as the miracle worker on earth with a new career. So it's just, say, whatever normal human behavior is. It's like immediately identifying with what you do. And that's not the case here at all. So it starts anew all the time. You have no idea how to respond to any of it. And that's the beauty of this discovery. And that's the way you move through this the quickest. Because, say, the Course in Miracles is really to speed up this transformational process, which is, in fact, just a moment. Like, but you, by doing it this way, you don't establish yourself as anything. You don't need a training in order to become something. No, it's a training for the undoing and training to set yourself free from any conditioning. It's totally different. So, and then you recognize who you are. It's like created to create the good, the beautiful, and the holy. I love it. That's great. So, oh my God, time flies when you're having fun. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Meeting each other in spirit. See, this is all, forget this. I make visuals, but forget him. It's not about it at all. That's the great thing to realize too. So it's like you pay attention to it and you want to make it look good, but in the end it's absolutely futile. And that's has been frustrating for me for a long time. Like the first thing that happened when I go to art school, when I finally made the decision to go to art school after all the other studies that I did, I finally decided to do the thing that I actually wanted to do. What happens almost like in the first moment, I'm having a deep, totally discombobulating, awakening experience that puts me in a whole new sphere and whole new perspective in which I have no idea what to do with art anymore. And I didn't paint or make anything for years after that. So it's like, none of that matters. It really does not matter. But at the same time, we use it anyway. So temporarily, just like your body, temporarily we use this to in fact attract attention or to make it express maybe the beauty, to make it say fit for the change. Like this was the way that you accepted all this. I see it like this. It's like this was the way that you started to accept all this and disappeared from here and entered into the good, the beautiful, and the holy.